Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's meeting of council being held on Tuesday, 21st of March. Before we begin to start the official proceedings, I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on Jara country, of which the members and elders of the Jara community and their forebears have been custodians for many centuries and have performed age-old ceremonies of celebration, initiation and renewal. We acknowledge their living culture and their unique role in the life of this region. Council meetings are audio and video recorded and are made available to the public via electronic media, including YouTube. Item 1, all councillors are present. Item 2, there are no apologies and no leaves of absence. I'm sorry, someone who is not present, our Director Michael Anea is up on the screen tonight, not in the room, but he's still here. Item 3, are there any declarations of interest or conflicts of interest? No. Item 4, confirmation of minutes. 4.1, meeting of council, 21st of February 2023. Esteemed Councillor Anderson, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation as printed, which does allow for the fact that we close the meeting in accordance with the Local Government Act in order to consider confidential information.
Do I have a seconder? Great. Councillor McClure, sorry, my brain isn't working very fast. All in favour? Motion carried. Item 5, acknowledgements, nil. Item 6, public question time. Councillors, could someone please move to suspend standing orders? Councillor Motley. And seconded, Councillor Henderson. All in favour? Motion carried. So we have 3 public line questions that have been sent in tonight. One from John Lewis, one from John Carruthers, and one from Colin Muller from CASOC. None of them appear to be here tonight, so we will read their questions for them. I'll start with John Lewis's question or statement. The desperate need for women's change rooms and facilities at Camp Reserve was highlighted at the February meeting of council. Has the council considered acquiring and installing demountable modular change room units at the reserve that would provide a solution to this need now and through until new permanent sporting facilities can be constructed? If not, can council make a commitment to consider this with a view to the immediate improvement of amenities to support women's sport? I will go to Director Anea for a response.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Lewis, for your concern for the need for increasing the facilities.
Michael, I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now, Mayor? Can you hear me?
I think we're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah,
The volume's down.
Can you hear me now, Mayor?
We can hear you now. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Lewis, for your concerns raised regarding female change room facilities at Camp Reserve specifically. I can confirm that investigation into the potential use of modular change rooms for needs across council's recreation reserves, including but not limited to those required at Camp Reserve, is currently being undertaken and will be discussed with councillors in the coming period of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. For the second question, Councillor Henderson, would you like to read?
Mayor, this is from a statement from John Carruthers. A large petition has been submitted for tonight's meeting. The vast majority of the community of Castlemaine supports new change rooms at Camp Reserve. That includes members of the Gold Camp Castlemaine group. But what we don't all seem to agree on is the optimal location for those rooms, taking all factors into account. That's the problem, not the support or otherwise for new rooms, which is a red herring. Question: what plans or options has the council developed over the past 15 years to alleviate the crisis in adequate facilities for cricket and netball players, while longer-term plans for the reserve were developed? If so, can those contingency plans be tabled?
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Director Anea, do you have a response to this statement or question?
Thank you, Mayor. I also thank Mr. Corrales for his interest in how Council makes some challenging and difficult decisions on using the available resources we have across all of our needs. I can confirm in June 2019 that Council adopted a resourcing recreation framework to help inform decisions and decision making on investments on sporting and recreation facilities across our Shire. The framework includes 9 weighted investment principles under 3 focus areas, which cover community, governance, and the facilities themselves. These principles are used and have been and are continued to be used when informing decisions both of short-term and longer-term nature. And they inform decisions related to where Council's own resources are allocated and where our advocacy priorities might go for funding from external sources, including those from the state and federal government and other sporting, recreational available options. The resourcing rec framework is available on Council's website if Mr. Carruthers would like to explore it. Thank you.
Thank you, Director, and thank you, Mr. Carruthers, for your question. We would just like to clarify, though, that the petition that was submitted was at last month's meeting. It is coming up at 7.1 on tonight's agenda. Our final submitted question so far is from Colin Moore from Cassock. Councillor Cordy, would you like to read his question, please?
Thanks for that, Mayor, and thanks, Colin, for your submission. As we all are aware, in December 2022, VCAT granted a permit for a new supermarket development on Forest Street, Castlemaine. The VCAT determination came with 73 conditions. The ratepayers and general public have an interest in how these conditions are monitored and enforced. Will Council consider creating an information section on its SHAPE website that keeps the public informed about how these conditions are being met going forward? Thank you.
Director Anea, do you have a response?
Thank you, Mayor Anea. And thank you, Mr. Moore, for your interest in the planning matters before Council, or that have been before Council in the past. Ultimately, the compliance for conditions in relation to that are included in a planning permit are primarily an issue between Council and the applicant. Mr. Moore would have noted in reading the planning permit that was issued by VCAT that many of the conditions are required to be met during the actual development process or prior to the commencement of the development. So Council works with an applicant to ensure that those conditions that are required to be met prior to the commencement of the development are signed off before a development starts. Those conditions that are required to be undertaken during a development are met throughout that process. And then the conditions that are applied beyond the completion of a development are followed up in due course. Importantly, if members of a community alert Council to concerns related to non-adherence of permit conditions, these are followed up by Council's planning compliance officer and are addressed accordingly, depending on the situation. I thank Mr. Moore also for his suggestion of creating a page on Council's SHAPE page or our own Council website. This will be reviewed in line with our responsibilities for planning compliance and considered in due course. Thank you.
Thank you, Director, and thank you to everyone who submitted questions. Councillor Maltby.
Mayor, could you tell us what Cassock stands for?
Cassock stands for Castlemaine Society.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here tonight who'd like to speak? Is that Bev Phillips? Yeah. Come up to the podium.
Good evening, I'm Bev Phillips and I'm here as Secretary of Malvern Urban Land Care Group. And I've just got a couple of comments about the planning application for the all gender facility at the Woodford Reserve. One is actually a correction. In both the agenda document and in the attached appendix, well, first of all, in the attached appendix with the arborist report, the remnant eucalypts
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to ask you to stop. We can't actually take questions that are on planning matters on the current agenda. Because we're
I'm
making,
not asking a question. I just wish to make a couple of comments, if I may.
I don't think you can, sorry, it's against our governance rules. So we can accept feedback right up until tonight, but we can't talk about it during public time at the meeting that the items on the agenda are. I'm sorry.
Okay, so there are incorrect species names used, and I was actually going to acknowledge,
I'm really sorry, but it's just, we're not allowed to.
Is there a possibility to do a motion that could allow people to speak?
because I'm actually going to say thank you to the council, and I thought you might like to hear that.
Yes, we always like to hear that. I'm just trying to figure out a way that we can allow you to speak, but not go against our own governance
Yeah.
rules.
And that rule needs to be then stated on the website to do with council meetings, because
It normally
it wasn't
is.
clear to me.
Oh,
If when we read out the question, it's start to miss reading that out.
Sorry to cause you a problem.
Someone has to listen.
Have you languages?
I'm really sorry, but we can't speak on the matters until the governance rules say what they say, and I'm actually okay hearing you, but we just can't because others will abuse that. And I'm sorry about that, Bev.
I'm going to leave then, and I'm sorry, you've missed out on some good news.
Okay,
And
I'm sorry too.
if the director would like to contact us about, hang on, if the director would like to contact us for the correction, the email address is on the slip I gave.
Thank you. Someone will be in touch.
Oh, I'm not sure I did it to you.
Does anyone else here tonight wish to speak during public time? No? Councillors, could someone move to resume the standing orders? Councillor Mockbee and seconded. Councillor Cordy, all in favour? Motion carried. We are up to item 7, petitions and letters, and 7.1, Camp Reserve request for upgrade of facilities. Councillors, do I have a motion? Councillor Mockbee.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. The council received a petition on the 21st of February 2023 with 755 signatures requesting that the facilities at the camp reserve be brought up to a modern standard to reflect the community's needs, including the burgeoning female and LGBTQI plus community football and netball members who are currently forced to share the same facilities with men. And we've acknowledged that that is an issue, and we've acknowledged it throughout the whole Shire, and just recently we've been getting some works done in other locations. But I'll move the recommendation, that is the council formally acknowledges receipt of the petition and notes that the request contained in the petition was addressed in item 9.2.2 of the meeting of council the 21st of February 2023, and the council writes to the lead petitioner to confirm the outcome of the above meeting.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor McClure, all in favour? Motion carried. Item 8, committee reports, nil. Item 9, officer reports, 9.1, community, nil. 9.2, environment, nil. 9.3, economy, and 9.3.1, PA 303/2022, Bill Woodville Reserve, Fountain Street, Malvern. Councillors, do I have a motion?
Yeah, sorry.
Councillor Gardner?
Trying to present this one. So I'll read the executive summary for everyone, and then I'll do the motion.
Thank you.
So the purpose of this report is to enable council to make a determination or an application for the construction of an all-gender change facility, landscaping and the removal of vegetation at Bill Woodville Reserve, Fountain Street, Malvern. The application has been referred to council for a decision because the cost of the works is $1.75 million. The council office recommendation was approve the application. The subject site is located in the public use zone schedule 6 and is affected by a bushfire management overlay, erosion management overlay, heritage overlay and significant landscape overlay pursuant to the Mount Alexander Plan Scheme, and noting works outside the areas of the site impacted by the heritage and significant landscape overlays. The application is exempt from public notice pursuant to clause 52.31 part 2 of the planning scheme, which provides an exemption to facilitate local government projects. It's noted that the proposed forms part of the Bill Woodfall Recreation Reserve Master Plan in 2011, and extensive public consultation has been undertaken by Council's Park, Recreation and Community Facilities team. And I would recommend to my fellow councillors the motion as printed. I won't read it, it's too lengthy.
Do I have a second, councillor Cordy? Any opposition? No. Councillor Gardner, would you like to speak to your motion?
Certainly, thank you, Mayor. First of all, it would have been nice to hear Dave Phillips say something positive about council and maybe about trees. So I'm a bit disappointed that didn't occur. That's a shame, but maybe there's something wrong there. Obviously, councillors before us, this is a building I know personally I'm really excited to see happening, and it is in line with the master plan which was developed in 2011, which was developed mainly by the user groups and obviously had community input into it. There has been extensive public consultation on this at the community level, local community level, and also including with the new lights as well. As I've said, it's going to be a new all-gender changed facilities, toilets, admin office, first aid room and storage. And I know that whilst it's sort of next to the netball courts in Malvern, it'll probably be used by the tennis club and female players as well. To be honest, this is really a great thing for the Oval. And I know that having facilities available, particularly for women down near the netball, which has been pretty ordinary for a number of years, is really just fantastic. The plans have been reviewed by Heritage, and some of the amendments in terms of the amended plans required because of the heritage changes. Unfortunately, there will be removal of 11 trees, none of which are the original pre-settlement trees, so that's good. And that matter was referred to GWOP and there was no objections with that. And obviously there'll be a new landscaping project that comes with it. So overall, I personally think it's a great outcome for the community of Malden, and it's going to be a really good overall facility once it's finished. So I'm happy to see it supported by everyone.
Thanks, councillor Gardner. Councillor Cordy, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thanks, Mayor. Just that I'd note it's a substantial investment in facilities for the Bill Woodfall Reserve, and it really demonstrates the support that council's giving to women in sport and all gender sport, and that in combination with the lighting project, fantastic upgrade, been talked about for many years, and I know this facility there'll be lots of users for it, for a state-of-the-art facility at the reserve. So well done to all concerned.
Would anyone else like to speak to this item? Councillor Henderson.
First, to echo Councillor Corey's words, because like him, I've been hearing this project proposed for many years and it's fantastic. It's on the go last and we're passing it. The other thing is, I think Ben was probably trying to tell us that a grey box is not eucalyptus macrocarpa, which is an interesting plant in its own right. It's actually eucalyptus microcarpa. If someone would like to make that change in the official record, that could be very well received by those who like to know their scientific names are correct.
Councillor Maltby.
Thank you. I'm agreeing with everybody here. This is a major step forward for not only the Malton area, but sport in general and all genders of people. As I said earlier, Harcourt's been done, Muesli's had some work over the years, Malton's next, and there's certainly Camp Reserve is going to happen. And Campbell's Creek, hopefully not far down the track. The council is moving forward, helping all genders and sport. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Would anyone else like to speak to this item? Councillor Gardner, you have a right of reply.
Thanks. I don't need one. It's just a great initiative. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, I will put the motion. All in favour? Motion carried. Item 9.3.2, adoption of asset valuation policy. Councillor Driscoll, I'm so sorry.
That's all right. Thanks, Mayor. The purpose of this report is to present the asset valuation policy for re-adoption. This is the third version of the policy since its initial adoption in 2014. I'd like to recommend the resolution forward that the council adopts the asset valuation policy.
Do I have a seconder?
Seconded.
Councillor Maltby. Councillor Driscoll, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. The asset valuation policy explains our core asset management practices when determining the cost and condition of our assets. The adoption of the policy will have limited change on the operations within the council, as this policy has been in place for several years now. This revised version, which has been updated into the new policy template, seeks to clarify information moves in the order of presentation of information and removes information that is unnecessary. It actually provides a framework and guidance for council to satisfy its obligations regarding the financial valuation of non-current assets in accordance with the relevant Australian accounting standards and the state government requirements. There's been some, so they do this so council can sustainably manage its financial commitments to our non-current assets.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Maltby, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, that's fine.
Would anyone else like to speak? Councillor Driscoll, you have a right of reply.
That's fine, thanks, Mayor.
I will put the motion. All in favour? Motion carried. Item 9.3.3, adoption of revenue and debt collection policy. Councillor Driscoll.
Thanks, Mayor. The revenue and debt collection policy was last adopted by council in August 2020 and has now been reviewed with the intent to review again in 3 years' time. I'll put a motion that council adopts the revenue and debt collection policy.
Do you have a seconder?
Seconded.
Councillor Maltby. Any opposition? Councillor Driscoll, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. The revenue and debt collection policy was last adopted by council in 2020. The policy seeks to establish a consistent approach to collection of revenue and where debt collection is undertaken, ensure that debt collection is undertaken in a consistent, professional, ethical manner. This updated version seeks to simplify the language and explanations used in the existing policy. There hasn't been too many major changes, just a few small ones. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Maltby, would you like to speak?
No, self-explanatory.
Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Driscoll, you have right of reply.
Thank you, no, thank you.
I will put the motion. All in favour? Motion carried. On to item 9.3.4, 2022/2023 financial report, quarter 2. Councillor Corney, would you like to introduce this item?
Thanks, Mayor. Purpose of this report is to present a finance report for the quarter ended 31st December 2022. This report will be presented to the Audit and Risk Committee on 24th March 2023. And I would move the recommendation as printed. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor McCullough. Is there any opposition? Councillor Cordy, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thanks, Mayor. Look, I've had a couple of looks through the report. It's an excellent report. Basically, council is tracking very well against budget. Our capital spend is down a little bit, so the figures are very favourable. I'd just like to acknowledge the work of Director Knight and the finance team headed up by Carolyn Ross. Fantastic team, and the report is very high standard report, and I would commend it to anyone that's listening to this meeting. Please get your hands on the report and have a read of it, because it demonstrates that it's a well managed council, and we're pressing on with the job. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor McClure, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, it's not to say I agree with Tony. The report, there's some great indicators in the report to indicate the council is tracking extremely well financially, which is pleasing to see.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak to this item? Councillor Cordy, do you have a right of reply?
Thanks, Mayor, but the report speaks for itself. It's a very solid report. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now put the motion. All in favour? Motion carried. Item 9.3.5, Annual Plan Progress Report, Q2 2022/2023. Councillor Henderson, would you like to introduce the item?
Thank you, Mayor. This is the second quarter report on our 2022-2023 annual plan, which of course is the first or one section of our council plan. Second, anyway, here we are. And this is what tells us how we're tracking against what we said we were going to do this year. Significant things. Of course, this is published for data up to the end of December. Already almost another quarter ahead, and that's the way these things come. So quite a few things in here have actually advanced from the status that they're given in this report, which is good to know. We're still waiting for the Minister of Planning to approve the plan scheme amendment of the model design guidelines. Hopefully it will happen in our lifetime. But it's fantastic seeing we've actually got the updated model design guidelines. And I do hope the Minister gives them the respect to actually pass it to stand for approval, so we can put them into our planning scheme and use it. The Botanic Gardens, yes, that's coming along, and even though some people are a bit upset about the gates being cleaned up after all this time, I'm sure they'll get used to it. It was part of the conservation management plan for the Botanic Gardens, and that's why the money was put towards that particular project. It was recommended by the heritage people who studied the whole gardens and wrote a wonderful report some years ago that was adopted as guidance for how to go forward looking after Botanic Gardens. And then exciting things, of course, are happening in our landfill, and we're spending a considerable sum of money doing the right thing. Finally, after lots of negotiation with the authorities who rule over us in this regard, and we're capping the existing landfill. The councillors did a tour there not so long ago to see how things were progressing. It's quite awe-inspiring to see the work that's being done and the scale at which they're being done. So not surprised that we're spending altogether over $7.5 million on that project. And of course, the money comes out of the waste reserve. And one last thing I do want to mention, which is something dear to my heart, which is the Warren to Wilton low-level bridge, which we've been waiting for many a long year. Oh, they don't see electricity. Well, my mic's not working. We can all sitting to still. So I believe that we're in the process of looking for new tenders for the project to so that we can actually complete the project. Thank you very much. Complete the project and actually build a road crossing across the Loddon River at for under or within the existing budget. So that is having to be retained at the moment, but I'm hopeful that we will get a tender that complies with our needs and the darn thing will get built. And put people who are able to travel from one side of the river to the other, without having to do a very long detour of 15 kilometres or so. And that would be a great thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Now, you can all tell that my brain is not working very well tonight. I'm just going to go back a second. You did move the motion?
I would like to move.
No, she didn't.
No, okay.
There we go. Plan press report.
Fantastic. Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor McClure. Councillor Henderson, would you like to speak to your motion? I think we've done that.
You asked me to introduce it.
Yes, I'm sorry.
It's
It's not
great.
confusing.
It's good to get these reports.
It is.
Really,
Very, very good.
it's on track. with how we go, what we decided we wanted to do, and yes, it's going ahead. Isn't that fantastic? Yeah.
Councillor McClure, would you like to speak to the item?
That's just to say thank you, Councillor Henson, for that comprehensive report. No, to say it's a great report. Good to see some things that are completed, like the Campbell Street Master Plan, which will improve here. A little bit disappointed to see that the industrial land review was only progress 10%. So I hope we'll see some more action on that. It could be more at this point in time, because this report might be. But apart from that, no, it's a great report.
Thank you, councillor. Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Cordy.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd just like to acknowledge the efforts of all of our staff, because you can see in the report that the milestones are getting delivered, projects are getting delivered, they're getting on with the job, and I think it's a great demonstration of the council organisation working together as a team. So well done, everyone.
Thank you, councillor. Does anyone else wish to speak on this item? Councillor Henderson, you have a right of reply.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that's the right.
All right, I will then put the motion. All in favour? Motion carried. We are up to item 10, delegates reports. Does anyone have a delegates report that they'd like to share? Councillor Driscoll.
Thanks, Mayor. A couple of things that I've done over the last month or so. I had a listening post, as I do on the first Thursday of each month at the RTC in Newstead, and that went well. And it's a good opportunity for people to have a chat with me if they want to ring me. I opened up the Apple Fest, and it was a great day. First of all, the sunshine was awesome, and there was lots and lots of people. And you know, that started 30 odd years ago. It was quite small, and it's been going great. Last year they had 35 exhibitors. This year they had 75. So it was really, really good. And I just want to thank all the people there for fronting up, obviously, and the committee who runs that. They do a great job. So that was a great day. I met with Newstead 2021, which is a good local group for sort of some ideas from Newstead that they want to bring to council, and they basically just wanted to know what's the best way they can do that. And I think all the little towns around our shire could do that. So they're going back to say what's their sort of top 5 to 10 priorities that they think and can come back to me, then I can go back to council. I think that's a great way for us councillors to get sort of a group, good ideas. We know what's sort of going on, but they will go out to the community and ask them too. So I think that's a great initiative on their part. And I went to the unveiling of the plaque for Felix Cappy, and I knew Felix personally, and he was a great man. And his brother Vin was going through the things he did over his his journey and was quite, I mean, I knew lots of them, but I was quite surprised the amount of the things that he did do and was involved in. So, and I know other councillors were there and that was great, but I just wanted to acknowledge that. And that was, I think that was a good one. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thanks, councillor Driscoll. Does anyone else want to share a delegate's report? Councillor Henderson?
Well, I'm going to chip in with the Taradale Minerals Free Festival, which I opened. Oh, no, I didn't actually. I didn't open Lisa. Lisa Chester did. She popped in and opened it. It's terrific. And we had, I think it was, final figures coming around about 3,700 people there. And it didn't happen for about 3 years because of COVID. And the groups who organised it were pretty dispirited and said, look, there's an awful lot of work. We don't know if we want to do this again. It was one last go. However, at the end of the festival day, they were so re-energised by the experience of the day. So many people were having such a good time that they were immediately talking about next year and what we'll do then. So it was a great day and that's a beautiful place. Thanks to Councillor Wilson for getting everything ready, including rushing to finish the barbecue, which had to be rebuilt because it was broken, and several other emergencies. But yeah, the staff certainly do a great job preparing the ground, supporting us to have that festival. So yeah, it's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. And still my favourite moment of the day was watching you and your lovely husband have a dance at the front when almost nobody else was. It was very nice.
Sort of leads the way.
You've got to lead the
I
way.
think Councillor is quite needed.
Councillor McClure, would you like to share a delegate's report?
Just to mention, I was part of a team this morning, part of the Rotary Doncaster Lane team that started the graffiti cleaning work down at the Western Reserve with council, obviously working under council's direction. So thank you very much to this council staff that have been part of the induction process and supplying all the equipment and so forth that we need. So hopefully over the next few days we might get the fence painted and nice day that way. Short period of time. I haven't got any confidence that it will, but there's a lot of fence down there covered with a lot of graffiti. I think there is some time when council may need to have a look at our graffiti policy because whether we need an artwork and just get rid of offensive material, which probably out of the fence there was about 10% of it was offensive and the rest of it could be judged some sort of artwork. But I think it's going to be a big battle to try and keep that part of the fence clean over the future years, and that might be better than just the policy of cleaning up offensive material. All of it. But anyway, we started and it'll be a contribution to trying to keep on top of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I hope it was pleasant and you didn't get too rained on. I did see you all down there, but I was in a hurry, so I couldn't stop and help. But it's great. I think it's great that a group of you are doing some groundwork. I know there's been a lot of concern about, how the town looks gearing up to the launch of the State Festival on Friday. So obviously there's a fair bit of work going on around the town to try and make it look, as nice as we can. Does anyone else want to share a delegate's report? No? All right, I will go then. You have a list of mine and the CEO's movements kind of over the last month. I've done quite a lot, lots of really nice things. I think on the back there, that cluster of 8 all happened in about 2 days. So that got quite stressful there at the end of last week, but I did everything and I was still smiling at the end of it, which is how I judge how I'm travelling. I'll pick out a couple which, made me feel really great. One of them was the Students' Ideas Pitch and Chambers Takeover session. So that was, we're obviously in the midst of developing our new middle years plan. So this is a plan for the health and wellbeing of our 8 to 12-year-olds in the Shire. It's really special already that we have a middle years plan because it is a time of extreme development and change. And, kind of what goes on in those years, there's a lot and it's very specific to that age. So on that day, we were able to bring, I think it was 9 schools and some homeschooling kids as well into this room. We were all in the chamber. It was set up for a workshop and we all sat around together and we went through the big themes that have come through our consultation so far for the middle years plan. and got them to really pick items or pick things that they were most passionate about, and then come up with things that they could do in their own schools, in their own communities, or with the help of council. It was very impressive. I mean, as it always is when I work with younger people, they were so keen and so imaginative. They just really had a great experience. And I think, yeah, about 8 out of the 10 ideas were based around kind of environment, sustainability, climate change kind of action. So, you know, they're very switched on to that stuff, and that obviously is a real priority for them. Obviously, we had a lovely lunch as well and did a few fun games. There were some students from CSC here helping to run it, and it all kind of ended with a tour of the mayoral office. And then I rode up. Well, they thought it was cool. And then I put the robe on, and they had to come and present their ideas to me as the mayor, which was good. And then I gave them a lolly, so it was a good process all in all. But we got such good feedback from it. I wish I had my little sticky note up there. We were doing, one of the questions was around what makes a good leader. I can't remember what's written on the note, but a young girl said to me something like, it's about listening to people and looking after the people that you care about, or something like that. They were very switched on, and it was quite special. I will read it since Councillor Maltby has fetched it. I think being a leader is looking after the community and helping people. And that was from Inca, who was 9. And I thought that was pretty great, honestly. Slightly after that, I went and hung out with some more primary school kids at my kids' school where I was teaching up until this year. They invited me in my new role to come and help out with their leadership ceremony. So every year Winters Flat invites Uncle to come and do a welcome to country and smoking ceremony, and then the leadership badges are handed out. And I was able to be a part of it this year, and I was able to give a speech in my new role and talk to them about, how much support they had given me really over the last couple of years, and how just utterly excited they are that I am mayor and that I get to come and be a part of their schooling life still. And I got to, give them their badges and do lots of handshakes, and it all felt very special. So that was a real highlight for me. I guess the last one I'll pick out, oh my God, there was so much good stuff. I honestly have done so much. A lot of it is highlights, but I guess I'm going to do 2 because it's also good. Last week, I went to the Regional Zero Emissions Forum, which was held in our town hall. It was so many people there, people passionate about, tackling climate change and reducing emissions. I learnt an awful lot I wasn't able to stay all day, but I learnt so much in the time that I was there. From lots of different people spoke, and then there were focused panels on different kind of facets of it. I think probably one of the most striking things was that one of the young school strikers spoke near the beginning and, pretty much blew the crowd away. Just their energy and their drive and their passion is incredible. And we're very lucky to have the young people that we do, especially in our community, leading the way on this. So that was very impactful. The last thing I'll pick out, just because it brought me a lot of joy over the weekend, was that the Castlemaine Fringe Festival launched on Friday night, kind of up in our new Mechanics Lane, New Village Square area. It was, again, Councillor Henderson was there. Were you drumming at one point? No.
Oh, okay.
You were just dancing. It was great. And I think, I've talked a lot about how much I love the State Festival, but Fringe has kind of been there in a much different way. And I realised, because they have an exhibition in the Big Broadway foyer of all the different years of the Fringe Festival. And I didn't realise that it's been going 1 year less than me. So it started in 92, a year after I was born. And as I looked at all the photos and all the programs, I remembered so much from my childhood of just fun times at the Fringe and the big things held in the streets and all the weird stuff that I did not really understand, but was very impactful for a kid growing up here. And I think, that little street next to the library full of people all just having such a good time on Friday night. It's 30 years of Fringe. Some of these people have been there since the start. It was very special. There was a lot of joy and a lot of we kept it going. Somehow we kept this going. It was really special to be a part of. Obviously that led into my favourite event of the year on Saturday, Castlemaine Idol. Obviously, not as joyous this year because it was 36 degrees with that horrible warm wind, but the talent that I saw this year was extreme. It was maybe the best idol yet, apart from the heat. But I was sitting directly under the mister, so I was doing okay. I did see a couple of our council officers got up and performed, so it's nice to see that we're being represented on the stage at Idol. I was a little bit disappointed that I wasn't asked to be a judge, which, as everyone knows, is my lifelong dream. But one day I will get there. It was lovely, and you know, I just saw so many people from the community all having such a good time, and I think it just bodes so well that the State Festival will also launch this Friday, and then we've got a couple of weeks of festival time, which can be pretty fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. So that is my update. There you go.
I was the same on Friday night. I was going to say, no, were you around at the first Fringe? And I realised no, you probably maybe not.
Yes.
Thanks very much, Mayor. And just a couple of quick ones from me, Mayor. 4 weeks ago, before this last report, Mayor, I have to say I had never heard of virtual power plants and virtual power agreements. Since that last meeting, Director Anir and I have met with a commercial operator who offers services related to that, and yourself and I have met with members of our community who would love to see virtual power plants and virtual power agreements come to our community as well. What are they? They are things that allow you to virtually send your power to another property that you may own or that someone else may own, and you do that as a transaction between the two of you outside of what your local provider might be controlling. It's a very interesting concept and a very complex concept that has considerable potential. The parties who we've been talking to, Mayor, claim to reduce the costs for people in our community for their bills by as much as 20% or more. So we'll be doing some more work on seeing how could we make that work on council buildings, but also how might we be able to work with members of the community to help that happen throughout the Shire. We shall see where that goes. The other one I was going to mention was we did have a meeting yesterday, myself and the Housing Solutions broker with Haven Home Safe. As you well know, you made a resolution about us trying to progress the development of at least 40-something apartments on the two Templeton Street sites that you own, our car park and the building that people know as the TAFE building site. It's fair to say that it's getting a more difficult environment to attract funding from certainly the state government and even the federal government. It's becoming very challenging. However, we got a very strong message again from the CEO of Haven that they are very committed to us and to our region, and they want to see something happen in partnership with us. And they are working very hard to find funding options to make things happen on that site. So I'll leave it at that for now, Mayor, but a very, very positive meeting at Haven Home Safe, as we would expect. And we'll be briefing you some more on that in the coming weeks and months.
Thank you, CEO. Does anyone have any questions on the list before we move on? All right. Item 11, notices of motion, there are nil. Item 12, urgent special business, there is nil. Item 13, confidential items, there is nil. And item 14, I will close the meeting.